Welcome, Arcade1up fans. This is Brian, and this is my overview of a recessed monitor mod for Arcade1up's Terminator 2 Judgment Day cabinet. In this video, I'm just going to give you a little description of how I did this mod. I'm going to give you some viewing angles of how the monitor looks from a distance where I'm standing now. I'm going to give you a close-up of how it looks inside from the front. And I'll swing the camera around the back so you can see how close the PCB is to the back panel. Without further ado, let's get this started. Right now, I stand at 6 feet tall, and I am 4 feet back. And you can see from this distance, you have full view of the monitor. I'm directly standing in front of the middle. And if you were to have two players, you can see when I'm changing at different angles, the monitor is not getting cut off on the left and right sides. Plenty of room for two players. And the height of the monitor is in place within the middle of the bezel screen in the front. There is a height advantage though to this. As of right now, this cabinet is sitting in the basement and it's sitting on a 4-inch high platform. Keep it safe from a damp floor. So that extra 4 inches, I will say, is doing really nicely for being a 6 foot tall person. Anybody that's a little shorter, 5 feet, if you did have this on a higher platform like I do, you will lose a little bit of cutoff if you are shorter than 6 feet. But if you are taller than 6 foot, still should work out pretty well for you. But when I do stand on the platform, you can see here that on the platform itself, the monitor is still full view. And definitely having this cabinet on the floor with you staying on the same floor, whether you're 6 feet or shorter, where I have this monitor positioned, it's in the perfect spot. It'll work out really well for a lot of people. However, if you are way above 6 feet, 6'2", anything taller, you will start to lose some cutoff, so you may have to lower the monitor even more than where I have it. This mod is definitely a trial and error, and you're going to have to figure out what's based off the best preference for your height and the viewing angle that you can see. I'm moving closer here. So right now with this mod, the monitor has been moved back 8 3/4 inches from the main bezel front here. The original bezel is still in place behind this plexi, which is holding the cabinet all together. And then the second bezel, I was lucky enough to buy from a friend who had an extra Arcade1up Marvel bezel that he didn't need. And it was already painted black, which worked out really well, blending in with the inside of the cabinet. Right now that bezel is about 16.5 inches tall. I did cut out 1/4 inch, and you'll see up here at the top where I made a couple cuts. As I said, this was trial and error. My first attempt, I had the monitor bezel up too high, and I couldn't see the top part of the monitor while playing, whether being on the 4-inch riser or just standing on the platform itself. It was always cut off. So I had to move it down a good 1.5 inches more, and you can see where I made my cuts with the router. So since I was able to use this Arcade1up bezel, all I did was use a router and I cut out the same grooves that come standard on all these Arcade1up side panels and fit it right in using the same screws from the back. You'll also notice that I put a plexi around the monitor, thinking that the monitor needs to be protected from dust. But now I've come to realize that I don't know if it's necessary, especially when it's creating extra glare. You will see in the blue there, you can see an extra white frame right here from the framing around the game from the Sinden light technology. So, but I think I might get rid of that over time. But the main reason why I put a bezel over it, plexi bezel over it, you're going to see that I put black taping all the way up around the monitor so I can cover up the metal casing which is holding the monitor in place. I didn't want to see that during gameplay. So I did the best clean look I could. And looking at here with the light shining on it, it stands out. But really, when this it's all dark in your arcade room, LED lights go on, arcade games are on, This is all black inside. You don't see any of this. And really the glare of the plexi is very minor during gameplay. You'll see down in here at the bottom, the wires. Again, right now you're seeing this, but again, without my light from my camera shining on this is all black, so you don't see it. But this does leave some opportunity. If you did want to put a cover down in here, you can, to cover up all these wires. And I'll show you how that can look when we swing around to the back. As I said, this was a trial and error. I put up too high. You can see that I had to cut the original monitor bezel. I actually made 2 cuts. I had to take off another 1/4 of an inch and replace the original cut I did in the first place. So yeah, I ruined the bezel a little bit, but it worked out for the best. And as I said, the measurements were about 16.5 inches long to make the game screen in line, perfect for my viewing at 6 feet tall. So now I'm going to swing my camera around to the back so you can see how the PCB is facing up against the back panel. Before I take the back panel off, you're going to see right here that PCB is right up against this panel, but there is a small gap. It's not completely touching. And I also went ahead and used the router to make some extra venting cuts. I did a pretty quick job. Wasn't worried about how bad this looks, so you're going to see some notches. But I figured this PCB does get a little warm, so it would have been best for being so close to the F panel. Usually has some air vents in there to cool off. I still to this day don't understand why Arcade1up chooses to put vents at the bottom of these cabinets. It serves no purpose. So I'm going to take off this panel now. We'll be able to take a look inside. Remove my Z13 subwoofer wire here. And right there, once I peel it off, there's the recessed monitor. And you can see how close it is. But as I said, there is still a small gap in between this and the F panel. The monitor itself, as I said, was moved back 8 3/4 inches and with 1 inch away from the K panel right here. That's all you need, 1 inch. I basically measured it off using a piece of masking tape, 1 inch masking tape. Plenty of room for the antenna, it's not touching right here. Lots of room to pass the wires down in between the K panel so you can close up the F panel. The rest of the wires are looping around here on the side. And it all ties together and works out great. Fits all nice and clean. Right to start off here is the marquee plug. So for someone that might be taller and they have to move this monitor down a little lower, this marquee plug will actually reach down like another 2 more inches. The marquee plug was the longest plug. The audio plug though, however, you will need an extension cord because as you can see that will not reach the connector down here. I have an extension hooked up to a subwoofer, so it worked out for me. The USB wire for the control panel. Curve it up and put it over here on the side. And the main ribbon wire that connects to the control panel has plenty of room. I have everything tucked in behind this K panel. Let's swing down and see how the wires look. As you can see, they all reach nicely. I will say at first when I had my monitor up too high, this was much tighter and this was a very snug fit. It was kind of pulling on it. But since I moved it down another 1.5 inches, much more room. And as you can see from the beginning of the video, a better viewing of the monitor itself. Lots of room. Worked out really nicely. Now with me having this monitor bezel, the extra one, at 16.5 inches long, I started it off by putting it right up to this H panel, just below the grooves. And as I said, that was too tall. So on my second attempt, I went back in, I screwed three more additional ways of how to raise and lower this thing. I basically used these brackets as my template. I kept them on the main bezel, and I just lined it up after doing the grooves with the router on here. And I gave myself 3 extra more options. And it worked out really well because what I did was when I assembled the cabinet back together, before I put these screws in, it allowed me to raise the monitor up and down and adjust it. So I was able to like bring it down a little bit. Then I can go and walk back around, see how it looks. If I didn't like it, I come back, raise it down a little bit. Worked out really nicely. The cabinet was snug enough where the monitor wouldn't just slide all the way down to the end of the grooves I made with the router. So I definitely recommend give yourself some options to figure out what the best height will be before you permanently screw it in. Well, not permanently, but you know what I mean. And just to give you a better reference of where to place this monitor for someone that might be 6 feet tall or a little taller, the bottom of, if you can get your hands on an extra A1up monitor horizontal bezel, it's right in line with the K panel right here. You can see I'm putting my hand out here. This is the K panel, and right under here is the extra bezel, and right here you can see it's perfectly almost in line. This part's probably up maybe 1/8 an inch or so, and it's also in line with the Arcade1up T2 bezel. So that's what I meant about how you can put a board under here and cover up these wires and cover up looking down in here. And you know, if it's bright in your arcade room, but it's so dark you inside, you really don't see these wires like I said. But it's all preference. You can also see here, you can see how I have a little extra routing area. This is like another 1.5 inches or so where I had more room, but this could have been lowered a little more below the K panel. So that can definitely work out for anybody that's taller than 6 foot. But yeah, my best bet for all of you is to say, if you line up a makeshift bezel or an Arcade1up bezel, have the monitor placed just above, as you can see here, how the monitor sits just above the K panel itself. Looks about 1/2 inch. You can see that right there. That was perfect alignment. You will have a tight squeeze to get the screws down in there. I couldn't really reach the screwdriver in there. But you know, with having the monitor bezel in the front already tightened, I really only worried about the top ones on each side to get those screwed in. Not too worried about the ones down here at the bottom. So they are not screwed in at the moment. I do have one right there on that side. It focuses. I might have one on the other side. But it all lines up great. Works out very well. And now I'm going to swing around back to the front and show you some gameplay. I'm going to stand back on the platform. And what I really like about this mod is that with having the monitor back that extra 8 3/4 inches, I can stand closer to the cabinet, feel a little more immersed. I'm closer to the speakers. You know, I see a lot of people where they're standing back, 3 or 4 feet to play. And really the minimum distance they say for these guns are 15 inches. So you can have this gun in place with the tip of the gun right up to the control panel. That's a really good distance, and it does work out well, and I'll demonstrate that for you right now. So with the guns right here at this distance, you can see that the cursor working just fine. Although now I look like I'm crazy and it's not moving for some reason. There we go. I don't know why I did that first. As you can see, not too far away from the cabinet. This can definitely work for like a fixed gun position if you have the guns just back minimum of 15 inches. The cursor works well, feel more immersed. Looks great. And anywhere you stand here, you can see from standing right here, as I said, it's a little, without the light shining down in here, it will be all black around there. Not too much reflection on the sides. And forgive for the big light from my phone you're seeing right there. Maybe I'll put another video up of it just playing in the dark. A quick little short video. But that is the mod for the recessed monitor. If you have a router and you want to make your cabinet look more authentic to the original one, I definitely recommend doing this mod. A lot of fun. Also, doing this mod does give the opportunity to put a bigger monitor aside. As you can see that there is plenty of room to have like a 20-inch monitor. You can see on the sides, lots of room on the top and bottom. The only thing I'm worried about is placement. That with that 20-inch, are you going to lose some monitor at the top here? Are you going to lose some at the bottom? I'm not quite sure. Because from that back side, your 1 inch from that K panel is it. That's how much room you got. If you want to have that cover back on there. Some people might not care about the cover. If they want to have this PCB stick out more, then you can get another inch, maybe 2 inches if you're not using the Arcade1up monitor, and you don't have to worry about these brackets getting in the way of the K panel down in here. So I hope you enjoyed this video, everyone. It's a great mod. Thank you all for watching. And if you do like this video, please subscribe. And I hope to put another video out of my Tempest mod I've done over here, where I angled the marquee and got a new control panel. So until then, again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you another time. Take care.